Alright, so I'm gonna spin down our end product. By the way, I added this to balance the centrifuge. You always want to balance your centrifuge. And this could be done by a lab assistant or a tech. So
Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. It's Kay and I have a very special video today for you guys. So today I have my friend Gina here.
Hey!
And we're going to talk about her job as a medical technologist. Alright, so stay tuned. Hold on. I think I should do it more this way. Like a real interview.
Like looking at me?
Yeah, like a real interview. Okay.
How does that look?
Is that better?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Okay, you guys, so Gina and I go way back to like what, middle school?
Middle school, 8th grade.
I really don't remember meeting her. Like, do you remember meeting me?
Yes, I remember everything.
Really?
I can't believe you say don't remember me. Of course.
I really don't remember meeting people that I've known for a very long time. It's like, okay, I just know you. So how did you meet me? Like, how did we meet?
I don't think we ever formally met, but I do remember in 8th grade math class, Miss K always had her supplies, and I peeked that, and I was out. So what would happen, because I knew she was nice, I would ask her for like a sheet of paper and pencil every day for like 2 months, every day.
And actually gave it to you?
Yeah, you would give it to me, like every day. I said, Kay, I don't have any paper, and you just give me like 2 sheets of paper, and then you let me borrow your mechanical pencil, and I'd like return it, and then the next day I'd ask for it again. And then like one day I saw you walking home from like the front gate at Robbinswood, and I was like, oh, Kay, what's up? And then you showed me where you live, and I was like, oh, let's walk this way. And then that day I walked like the long way home so I could see where you lived and stuff.
You're so nosy.
Yeah. But yeah, that's how we met.
Wow. Okay, so that was a good story, Gina. I don't even remember any of that.
I can't believe it.
Yeah, but anyways, y'all, let's get started. Okay, Gina, so when you said that you want to become a medical technologist, I'm like, okay, she wants to be a scientist. Because that's what it sounds like to me, and I think a lot of other people have no idea what that is. So what exactly is a medical technologist?
No, you're right. Medical technologist, aka medical lab scientist. We're basically, I don't want to say scientists because we're not running our own experiment, but we are the scientists of the hospital and the lab. So I don't know if you all know, but 90% of diagnosis is done off of lab results, which is what basically is basically what a medical technologist does. We run tests on basically anything that you can collect off of the human body.
So like you have feces being sent.
Why is that the first thing you said? Feces, yes,
no,
yes.
because it's like when as a tech, when you send that stuff to a lab, I'm just wondering like what's your reaction when you open up that container? Like,
just
you get
another
hit
day
with
at
the
work,
scent?
just another day.
Oh my gosh.
You're like, woo, what did you have for breakfast? Oh my gosh, no, I mean, it really becomes routine. I know it sounds gross, but I mean, it's not, I don't want them to think it's just poop. Like, it's not that. There's, most of it is blood work, but you can do sputum, cultures on surgical samples, just everything, nails, hair.
So like, okay,
anything that you can pull out of the body.
But what's the difference between what you do and like a lab assistant? Don't they do all that stuff? That's why I've always been confused about medical technologists, because it's like I thought the lab assistants did all that.
No, okay. Lab assistants do a lot. Like the lab doesn't really run properly without them. You always want a lab assistant, but they assist us. So basically what a lab assistant does is they make our jobs easier. So they process everything. We can't just receive a sample. So it has to be checked in the computer, make sure it's properly collected, patient's identification. There's different samples, and they have different additives and preservatives. So depending on what the test is, if it has the wrong additive or preservative, we can't run that test. So they make sure it's collected properly, and then they bring it to us.
So you guys do like the analysis after everything is like processed
And collected, and so we run the test and we result it.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I mean, do people confuse you for like a phlebotomist, or do they call you a lab assistant? Like, what's the misconceptions about this career?
Most people don't know about it, but the biggest misconception is that we're phlebotomists. Oh, you draw blood. Oh, yeah. No, we're not those people. Like, think one step further. Where does that blood go once it's collected? Where does that urine sample go after it's been sent? Who's testing it? That's where we come in. And I think people just think it's doctors or nurses. But
the doctors get all the credit.
No, it's not doctors. It's medical technologists. That's us dealing with the sputum, the urine samples. Listen, when you collect a urine sample, please clean the cup.
Oh my God.
Like, there's nothing worse than receiving a urine sample and your glove is just biggest pet peeve. I just hate it.
But at least you don't have to actually sit there and grab the poop from someone's butt and like.
I don't know what's worse. Testing it, because you gotta mix it up and.
It's all disgusting.
It's all disgusting either way, right? Yeah, it's all disgusting.
Okay, so how did you get involved in this field? Like, I mean, I just remember one day you were like, okay, I'm gonna do this medical technologist thing. Like, what inspired you to get into the field?
I don't know if I was inspired. It was just kind of one of those things. So there's different ways to get into becoming a medical technologist. So some people know from jump, like if they're in college, okay, I want to become a medical technologist, and they take the right courses, they get into the program, and they go through that direction specifically. It's like when nurses go to school and they say, hey, I want to become a nurse, and then there's those people who come back. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So I was more the comeback. Who came back.
Yeah.
So while I was in college, I would hear about medical technologists, medical lab scientists while I was in micro taking those classes, but it just didn't click. I didn't really understand it. I didn't pay attention to it. And then one of my friends became a medical technologist, and she basically brought me on board because after graduating college, I was kind of home doing nothing.
Yeah,
so
I think most people are.
Most people are. It happens. So she thought it would be a really good idea for me to actually join the program and get licensed to become a medical technologist, because I was already in that direction.
Yeah.
I had a biology degree, and I was also working as a lab assistant. So it just kind of fell in my lap, kind of.
Okay, so like, what are the requirements for other people that want to do this career? Like schooling, the cost, all that good stuff.
The cost and schooling. Okay, schooling. So you need a bachelor's degree. You can take.
Oh, I didn't know you needed a bachelor's.
Yeah, you need a bachelor's.
Oh, okay.
There's two directions you can go in. So you need a bachelor's degree, science-based. So biology, any pre-med, that type of stuff will basically give you the prerequisites to get into a program. So if you go and you major in medical technologist or medical science lab scientist, it's already in your curriculum. Once you get, and then once you do fulfill the prereqs, you get into the program, and in your program they'll have the rotations.
Okay.
So you'll have to do your rotations, because medical lab scientists, there's a lot of, it's kind of like I don't want to say a doctor, but like a nurse. There's chemistry, there's hematology, there's micro, there's blood bank, all of that. So you have to do your rotations to learn all the different departments.
Okay.
Because you're actually licensed for 6 things.
Oh, nice.
And then, yeah, once you do your rotations, you have to sit down and take your state license test.
What kind of test is that? What is it called? Do you
Um,
remember?
no, I do not remember the test. It's a hard test. It's not that hard. It's possible, but
Well, a lot of people fail it. Is that what it is?
no, not too many. You have to study though.
Okay.
You have to study for it.
Just
So-
like any other test.
yeah, any other exam, you have
Yeah.
to study for it. And then the second way of entry is, say, for instance, if you have the prereqs, like if you have a biology degree, then you can find a program. There's certain hospitals that still do a program where you can enroll in the program and do your rotations without actually going through the school.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Nice. Okay, so what do you like the most about this position?
What do I like the most? Okay, I'm in blood bank. Blood bank rules. I like it.
Wait, hold on. So there's different sections or areas?
Yeah, so like I was telling you, there's micro. You can do micro. You can do hematology. You can do chemistry. You can do blood bank.
Oh,
There's
okay.
different.
So you chose this.
Yeah, I
You chose this,
specifically
okay.
chose blood
Okay.
bank. But you can work as a generalist depending on how the hospital is set up and do all of them.
Okay.
But larger hospitals, they tend to like break up the department. So you're usually doing one
Okay.
or
so,
two.
So what do you do in your department?
I do blood bank. What do I like about it? Blood bank is easy. I hate to sound lazy. It's really easy. Everyone's scared of blood bank because they think, oh, I don't want to give the wrong type. But it's
Yeah.
really hard to make a mistake like that once you know what you're doing. So I like it because I feel like I'm doing something smart. Like,
Of course you're doing
yeah,
something
it's
smart.
not- it's
you,
not-
You have
you
to
can
like
teach-
earn your degree
you can
to
teach
get
a
it.
10-year-old how to do a blood type, honestly, but I feel like I'm doing something and it's easy.
Yeah.
So like, I just feel good about it. It's like it's
Okay.
not too hard, but not everyone can do it. Yeah.
Well, you're gonna teach us right at the end how to determine the blood types.
Hopefully.
What do you mean? Hopefully, that was
We'll
the
see.
plan.
Okay, I'll
Okay.
try. Yes. Hopefully. Okay, so here's our sample. Basically, what we first have to do is check it in. You're gonna look at the patient label. It's one patient per label or per bag, and check the name. Make sure it's labeled correctly, and the tests that have to be performed on them. And basically, we're just gonna scan the barcodes and check them in. Okay, so of course this is a pretend sample. This isn't a real patient. But if it was, because this should be clear or like a yellow color, this could be a recollect, meaning the test can't be ran on the sample. So this might be a reason to reject it. But usually a tech will determine that. As a lab assistant, you would just bring it to the tech. And if the tech cannot perform the test or if the results are off, then they'll let you know that it needs to be recollected.
Okay, so I'm curious, like, what is your day-to-day life like as a medical technologist? Like, from when you clock in to when you leave, like, what's a typical day like?
Okay, so a typical day, I get into work, I clock in, and the first thing that's done is you're given hands off. So it's just basically transition from the shift front that was before you to catch you up.
Like
or
a report?
Yeah, basically
Okay.
a report and let you know what's going on. And then depending on what shift you're working, QC is performed, which is quality control, that basically makes your test valid. If you will get fired for messing up QC.
Really?
Yeah, QC is a big deal because it basically validates the test. If your QC is invalid, your test is invalid. And a lot of people overlook that, but it's really important. It's probably one of the most annoying things ever.
Yeah.
Because it's like you're running tests on things that you know. It's annoying.
So it's just making sure the equipment's work.
The
basically.
equipment's work
Or
and
calibrated.
the results, they're calibrated
Okay,
and things
alright.
like that. And basically after that, it's just kind of like, it depends on what bench you're working to, but you just kind of wait for samples to come in and then you run your results. You run your tests and then you put in your results, and that's pretty much it. But different things that can happen, like if there's different requirements. So like if it's an ED sample, you run that first, and it gets priority. If there's something wrong, you let you have to call the doctor or the nurse and let them know, hey, their hemoglobin is really low, like it's a 4.9, like you have to call for the criticals. That's very important.
Yeah, because they do that at my hospital. So you're the one who makes all the calls.
Yeah, we have to call and tell you what the criticals are and things like that. And what I like about it too is that you don't take it home. So once you clock out, that's it.
That's it.
Yeah, there's nothing to take home.
Yeah, and then you don't have to deal with patients.
And you never directly deal with patients, exactly.
So it's like if there's someone out there that just don't want to deal with patients, but they want to be in medicine, it's probably like
it's perfect. It's perfect, exactly.
Yeah. So what else do you do throughout your day? Like, do you receive blood from like the little red bus or?
Okay, so on the big red bus, that's when it comes to blood bank, that's where it kind of all gets started. The blood that are issued to patients come from volunteer donors. So people donate their blood and it's collected, and then it goes. It's not a factory because blood isn't created, but it goes, I'll call it a factory, and it's separated into parts. So blood has different components and parts, and basically it allows us to, say for instance, someone might need RBCs but not plasma, depending on what's going on, and it allows us to, so like if you're an O patient, if we gave you whole blood, which is with the blood, RBCs, and the plasma, only a O recipient could receive it. Yeah. Because of that's going into the science part. Yeah. But if you separate it, O can actually be given to everyone now. So that's why it makes them the universal donor. Okay. Exactly. Okay. So that's kind of where it gets started, and then it gets tested. And then the hospitals receive it. And when I do a blood type, if someone needs blood, then I will issue the unit that was donated.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So, what do you think, throughout your day is, the most stressful thing?
The most stressful thing throughout the day? The days aren't, at least for me, they're not that stressful. But stressful to me would probably be if... maybe if OR collected a sample really late, like maybe 30 minutes before surgery, and then they're calling me, hey, what are the results? What are the results?
Trying to rush you?
Trying to rush me. Yeah. I'm like, hey, you knew 2 weeks ago this patient was coming into surgery. Things like that. Or if there's an emergency release or something like that, you really have to think quick because at that point someone really needs the blood and they need it urgently, and you don't know how many units. So you gotta think quick, and you gotta think fast, and you gotta move so you can make sure the floor receives their blood so the patient doesn't die.
So, is there, something you can get fired over? What can you get fired over in this position? I mean, I know there's a lot.
There's a lot of things.
What's the big thing? I know you said QC.
QC and,
what else?
And with blood bank, and I think that's why people stay away from blood bank. If you mistype a patient... That's kind of big.
If you say the wrong, let's say they're type A, AB or something, and you say they're type O. Do you mean like that?
Yeah, something like that. Okay. That's pretty big. If God forbid, that's the worst mistake you can make, right? Yeah. So you always pray hey, make sure I'm focused when I'm doing this. Yeah. But God forbid you make that mistake, everyone looks at you
it's over for you.
Yeah. Oh my God. Yeah. So you never want to be that person. Never want to be that person. But God forbid, because if someone receives the wrong blood, it
can have a bad reaction, right?
You could die.
Oh, okay.
You could die.
Okay.
It rarely happens because a blood type is so easy.
Yeah.
It's really the easiest part of my job.
So you gotta be really just negligent to make that mistake.
Yeah, not paying attention or not. I wouldn't say negligent if you're testing multiple patients at the same time.
Yeah.
So I might have your blood sample and John Smith's blood sample, and when I'm putting in the results, oops, right. So I only test one patient at a time. So
yeah. See, I told you guys in my tips, one patient at
a time. Yeah.
Okay, so we're all nosy, so I'm sure everyone else wants to know how much do you get paid in this position?
It depends. It varies by state.
Don't give us no BS answers.
It really varies. It varies by state and experience, but I'd say entry level is like okay would be like $22 an hour. I'd say average $22 an hour. That would be first shift, like basic salary. But then depending on what company you work for, it could be more, and then depending on like the shift, so second shift gets paid more, night shift gets paid more, weekend night shifts get paid the most, those differentials. So it could be, I would say, between $20 and $30 an hour.
So it's really based on experience?
Experience is part of it, and how long you've been with the company too.
Okay.
Yes.
So can you move up in this position? Like, is there like upward mobility at all?
There's some upward mobility, but not a whole lot.
Okay.
So you could become a lead tech. You could become a manager, a supervisor, or maybe a director as well. And it's not just a hospital setting. There's actually other settings outside of hospital, but the hospital setting is most popular.
And they pay more, right? Usually.
I don't think so.
Oh.
But you could actually work for the people who make the instruments, the people who make the reagents. But those jobs aren't as like available as the hospital jobs. Most likely it'll be a hospital setting.
Alright, so I'm going to spin down both these samples, and one will be hemolyzed and one will not. And this is parafilm on top of it. It's just a plastic wrap to kind of cover it up. And of course, balance your centrifuge. So let's see our end product. By the way, I added this tube to balance the centrifuge. You always want to balance your centrifuge. And this could be done by a lab assistant or a tech. So this is our end product. At the bottom, you see the RBCs, and at the top, you see hemolyzed plasma.
All right, you guys, so as promised, Gina is going to talk to us about how to determine your blood type. Now, it's kind of sad, but I don't even know my own blood type.
That is sad. No, don't feel bad. Most people don't know their blood type.
I mean, can you go to like a doctor's office and ask them like, what is my blood type? Like, how does that work?
Your doctor wouldn't know your blood type, but they could definitely put in an order for you to get that test done.
Okay.
So, kind of like any other test, you know, if you need your cholesterol checked or whatever, they put in an order, send you to Quest or whatever, and they'll let you know what the results are.
Okay, so this is real random, but let's say I'm like bleeding out and I know my blood type. Can I go to, well, I can't go to the hospital, but can a family member say, okay, she's type O, and then they get the blood, or do you have to like screen the blood first to like determine?
Okay, if you're bleeding out, thank God for universal donors.
Okay.
Right? Because then they're compatible with everyone. So as a woman, you're bleeding out, we're going to give you O-neg, no problem. Girl, you're good. Right? So thank God for them. Or else people would die.
Because
if you receive the wrong blood type, it could kill you. But let's see. The process is really simple. You could really run a blood type in less than 5 minutes. So it's just a process. So the process takes a long time. Actually running the blood type is very simple. So we have different antigens, A, B, and D. So D determines your positive or negative. So when you hear people say, oh, I'm A pos, that's the D antigen. And basically what we do, we will put a drop of all those or those 3 anti serums on the blood, spin it in a centrifuge, and basically what we're looking for is a clot or no clot, which is basically a reaction. So if you're A and we put anti-A on your blood, you're gonna clump up because that antibody is causing your blood to coagulate. So that's how we determine it. So when after I spin the blood, if I shake it, if you don't have that antibody, it will dissolve. If you are that blood type, then it will clump up, like it will make a solid ball.
Wow.
Right?
Wait, don't you remember an experiment like that in micro?
That's what it
biology?
was. Yeah,
so
that's exactly what it is. So
Okay.
sometimes if you're in, like I said, this goes back to when I was in college. It's kind of like you took some of the courses, but you
Yeah.
just didn't know about the career.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that's basically what it is,
Okay,
and that's how
okay.
it's determined. If you put anti A, B, and D, and you see no reaction, the person's blood doesn't clot. That means they're O neg. So they don't have A, they don't have B, and they don't have that Rh antigen. Those are the universal donors.
So type O, they can only receive blood from another type O.
Correct.
Basically. Oh, that's sad.
Yeah. There's plenty. Most people are O's, so there's plenty of O's out there, guys. Don't panic. Most people are O's.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, thank you for the explanation. That was simple.
Yeah, it's
Thank
easy.
you.
Really easy.
Okay, so I'm going to do a forward ABORH typing. I have my patient here, John Doe, and I'm going to make a 3% suspension. This is a lot of blood. You only really need a little bit, but whatever. And I have my tubes labeled here, A, B, D. In my A tube, I'm going to put anti-A, which is blue. In my B tube, I'm going to put a drop of anti-B, which is yellow. And in my D tube, I'm going to put anti-D, which is clear. I'm going to take my 3% suspension, and I'm going to add a drop of blood to each. Mix, mix, mix. And I'm going to spin it in the centrifuge for 20 seconds. This centrifuge is specifically calibrated for 20 seconds at immediate spin, but it may vary depending on your centrifuge. But this is just a demonstration, but I would never read without recording. So what you would do once it stops, I'm going to read the tube, and after you read, you write down your results. So here's my A. I'm going to read it under the agglutination viewer, which is basically just a microscope so I can see my reaction. And hopefully you all can see this, but there's no clumping. It completely dissolved. So this person is negative for A. Here's my B. There's no clumping here. This patient is negative for B. And finally, D. And D is basically what determines if you're positive or negative. So if you hear O pos, O neg, if you're positive for D. If you're negative, you don't have D. And there's clumping. I don't know if y'all can see that, but the clumps are at the bottom here. This person is positive for D. So negative for A, negative for B, positive for D. This person, forward typing, is O pos.
Okay, Gina, thank you so much for finally coming on my show.
Listen, I've been begging her. She asked me to do it, and I was following up with her. Hey, when are we gonna do this video? When are we gonna do this video? She had me all excited and had me wait like 3 months before we actually did it. So it was an absolute pleasure. I feel so special. Thank you for having me.
And then now you gotta like rush off to work, right?
Yeah, I'm on the go right now. I'm on the go.
Okay, so if you guys have questions for Gina, you can comment below, and she'll actually take over and she'll respond.
Yes, I will answer the questions.
Yeah.
And don't be scared, guys. Medical technologist is a really cool career.
Yeah.
You don't have to do blood bank. There's different departments and stuff too. So
It's actually, it's very interesting.
yeah, it's not bad.
Yeah, they can also follow you on Instagram, right?
You can also follow me on Instagram, JujuRoro17, JuJuro17.
I'll put her link below also. But thank you guys for watching, and we'll see you next time. Bye.
I was reading somewhere where this MUA charged because somebody didn't want to do before and after pic.
MUA charge.
Makeup artist, she
Oh.
charged an extra $10 because they didn't want to do it before and after.
You can't force people to do it.
You
before
can't
and
force
after.
people to do it.
Some people aren't comfortable.
Yeah, even if the after, if they don't, if they just paid you to do the makeup, then that's it. Unless you all had a different agreement.
Look up a little bit. Yeah, I'm sure.
Bye thing.
Oh my
I want both of us to do it.
god. Okay.
Okay.